Hello, hello. What's going on, everybody? So today we're talking about C'est vous qui décidez. It's the national selection for France, the second time that they've brought it around after a very successful year last year. And today I'm joined by our two French members, Josephine and Dylan. Bonsoir to both of you.
Salut.
So we're going to go to you first, Josephine. Obviously, there's a big act to follow because Barbara Pravi was so successful last year, almost, came very close to a win, but obviously, left a very positive impressions, a favorite song for a lot of people. How are you feeling going into this year, looking at the songs that we have this time?
I think I heard many people say that French selection is probably one of the best this year, but for me, it's kind of I don't know, predictable, because we have either the pop song or either the chansons françaises. So it's kind of, as I say, predictable. Mm-hmm. But I don't think they are bad songs. They are good songs, but I was expecting more originality this year. So I don't know. I think the final choice will be between Soa and between Alvan. I think because they are two really, really popular songs amongst the Eurofans. I don't know, Dylan, how you feel about it?
Well, I kind of agree. Actually, I don't think that there are any bad songs in this national selection, but there is yet a song that that has to be found, and that could bring this little sparkle to the contest. So I don't know, but I think that in the end it will be between 2 or 3 songs, the one you mentioned. But I would also maybe add Pauline to this one. That would be a strong contender. So we shall see.
Yeah, definitely. And we're going to go song by song. We will be talking about all 12 songs that we have in the selection. And I find this discussion really interesting because I sort of feel the same way. I do think that based on the songs on their own, because what we see with C'est vous qui décidez is it's kind of more of an audition that they use the studio track over top. It's not the best representation of the visual potential of every song. So I feel like there are certain kind of like hidden gems here that could really shine with the right staging. Yeah. And that goes for both the selection and for Eurovision, because obviously once it gets to Eurovision, it can be much bigger. But I am going to be interested to see, and a number of the songs that have been mentioned are definitely ones that have caught my attention. Before we get into the songs, though, let's say hello to people in the live chat. Hello again to Mark, and Mark is saying, I really hope France sends Soa to Turin. The song is so fresh, modern, and very catchy. And as you mentioned, that was one of the ones that you mentioned, right, Josephine?
Yeah, that's one.
It was?
She mentioned actually, yes. Soa is the song is Seul. Sorry.
Yes, exactly. Hello to Morton V. Morton V is saying he's excited for France's entry. Hello to Sarah Halloran. Well, we're going to be talking about some of the people that we're seeing. Well, we'll be talking about all of them. Euroboy4 saying bonsoir la France. Bonsoir. Hello to Fab S. Bonsoir. And saying nice to see two French collaborators with you, Stu. Thank you. They're not just collaborators; they're members of our team, and they're with us all year. We of course are very grateful for them as well. And with that said, why don't we get into some of these songs? So the very first one we have already mentioned. And Dylan, I have only heard the songs today because obviously I've been following all these national selections and it's hard to keep up with everything. And you flagged this one specifically because of some comparisons that have been made to it. So we're going in alphabetical order, and we're starting with Alvan and Ahez. I apologize if I don't get the pronunciation right. And the song is called Fulenn. Definitely very funky indeed. Not the kind of song I would have expected from France. Dylan, tell us the story behind this one.
Okay, so this song has quite an interesting story. Actually, there are some similarities, with Ukraine in general. As you can see, the tempo, the rhythm is very electro-ethnic. So just like was Chut last year. But also an interesting fact is that the band that is running for this national final just like Kalush Orchestra has been put together specifically for this selection. They never actually played together before. And this song, as you probably realized, is not sung in French. It's in Britain, which is a regional language that people speak or used to speak in Brittany, western part of France. And it's interesting because it's a song that is actually about women empowerment and their freedom. So the song names means actually two things. One is young lady, and the other one is sparkle. And so it's about a woman that actually go out and dance until she gets rid of it and she actually does what she wants. Another interesting fact, and I'll finish with that, is that song, it's not the first time that France was represented with a local language. Maybe we don't remember it, but in 1996, it was already a song in Britain that was representing France. And I think it was 2011 when Amaury Vassili was singing. He was singing in Corsican, which is also a region here. So yeah, but I like that song because I like the tempo, the rhythm, and it's very unusual for a French song.
Definitely, yeah. As I said, I wouldn't have expected something like this from France. Josephine, what do you think of Fulenn?
I agree with him. I wasn't expecting, and this is clearly my biggest surprise this year. I really like Fulenn. It's they are my winner this year. It's like for me, it's like a mix between Tanku and Goey with a little bit of Nova Deka vibes. You know, the Serbian entry in 2018, I think.
Oh yeah.
Ethnic and modern at the same time. I think it can go well with the Scandinavians and the Eastern Europe because the song is good. It's interesting. It's authentic. And as you say, the lyrics, they are telling us a story. It's not just, it's not a love story. It's not a love song. It's not a portrait. It's just a story. So that cane is really original also. And I really think that could help, that could convince the Lambda telespectators from France. Because when you see the success of Chum in France last year, I think it can really go well with the French.
Yeah, I mean, it was Goey that Dylan, when you had flagged this one, you were making that comparison, and I also like what you said, Josephine, about Tanjugueiras from Benidorm Fest this year, because I definitely see a bit of both. And I was actually wondering if the Britain culture, if they were also in some ways related to the Galician culture, because they're not that far from each other. But I couldn't find anything that was like a direct correlation between the two. Do you know anything about that, Dylan?
Yeah, actually, it's a Celtic culture, so it's common to what the one in Ireland, for instance, and in Galicia in northern Spain. Yeah, but it's something that is actually quite popular in France in general.
So with that said, and talking about how this is inspired by folklore, I think that really the success to this song comes down to staging. Making a very tasteful development of the story and presenting it in a classy way, but also keeping that kind of fun party vibe, because it is a real banger. Because I guess the one worry that I would have is that if it ends up looking a little bit too much like songs we've seen from the 2000s, not because I don't think like it's wacky in any way, but I think that there is a line that you tread between keeping the traditional elements, but then also keeping it feeling fresh and modern as the song itself feels. And when with the video that we've seen of this song, the performers, they're not really required to have the kind of presence that they'll need on stage. So I'm just hoping that we do see that, because we didn't see it in then, but again, it's not necessarily a requirement. So we're seeing some love from Angelica. Fab S is saying Fulenn would be popular with the public, certainly. Not sure about the juries. Also, the group needs to improve their own performance. What do you have to say about that, Josephine?
I cannot agree. Maybe the jury won't follow the Fulenn. I'm kind of pretty sure of that. I really doubt.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's nothing here. There's nothing here that really suggests that it wouldn't be appreciated at all by the juries. I think that really it just comes down to uh, like keeping that performance really solid and vocally, but also in terms of stage presence. What do you think about that, Dylan?
No, I agree with you. It's actually something that can work with the jury as well, but it will mostly depend on the vocal performance in the staging. And so far, to be honest, the live performance we saw wasn't that good. So I'm expecting them to have worked a lot during this past weeks, and I'm confident that it will deliver a very strong performance. So.
Yeah, and as I understand too, I believe that the group, because it's Alvan is the guy there, the instrumentalist and producer, and Ahez, I believe, is a trio, but we didn't see one of them.
Yeah, apparently one of the members of the trio couldn't make it that day, but is supposed to be there for the final. So it might actually also give another dimension to the performance.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely a factor to consider. But nonetheless, I mean, I think at least from us, we're really appreciating this entry, and we're very curious to see how it goes. So let's move on to the next one. This, as you mentioned, Dylan, is one of the songs that is showing a variety of the French diaspora, all the various parts of the world where French is spoken. And this is Cyprien Zeni, and he's from Reunion Islands, and this is the song that he's bringing.
Dans ma force, mes efforts, pas que je vive. Dans mon sang, dans ma voix, dans ma vie. Elle m'inspire, c'est de l'or, c'est la famille, ma famille.
Definitely got another banger in here. I really appreciate that one. Josephine, tell me about Cyprien and what you like about his song.
I tend to compare it with Zephine last year. I don't think these are not the same, but they are both catchy. But how to say that? I like the African vibes, but for me it's quite forgettable. I say because I don't know. The song is not catchy enough. The song is I don't see the little something that could make the difference with the other songs of the selection. I'm not sure about that.
I mean, and this kind of song, it's a little bit more, I don't want to say down tempo because it is something that's very danceable, but it's not necessarily, it's not the banger, the really heavy banger that we saw with our previous song. So I mean, it definitely needs to have that catchy hook. And I guess what I'm hearing you say, Josephine, is that it's lacking a hook or something that really helps it stick in people's minds. Is that
Yeah.
along the lines of what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Okay. And how about you, Dylan? How do you feel about this song?
Yeah, I agree. For me, it's like a good summer hit, but that's it. There is something missing. It's very similar to what we had a few years ago as well with Allez Ola Ole, with Jessie. And as Josephine said, it's also very close to Cephas last year, which makes sense because, again, all of those contestants were originally from French overseas islands. Either in the Caribbean or the African eastern coast, sorry. So in the end, you have this interesting and very danceable vibes, but it's just not enough. To me, it's not.
Yes, not enough.
Well, so one thing I want to address about this is that it's called Ma Famille, my family. And I feel like because of that, he probably won't be alone on stage. And I mean, I really like, when we were talking about stage presence earlier, I really like his presence, the fact, like the energy that he brings by himself. Yeah. So I feel like we're going to get some dancers with him and that this could actually, at least be very, very uplifting. I'm with you in the sense that I don't feel like the song on its own is super memorable, but it could at least be a moment in my view. We will have to see how that goes. But yeah, there seems to be ingredients here to do well. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I think indeed that he will have an interesting staging because the song is about the fact that he misses family and his roots, being 10,000 kilometers away from it. So there will definitely be, or should be, a lot of dancers and probably something very colorful. But again, will it be enough? I mean, it will be nice. It will be very enjoyable. But to me, really, I don't think that it will make it to the top. too.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree.
And we also have to remember with this selection too that it's the first. I know the numbers have changed from last year, but the first round is decided just by the public vote, and then there's a jury wild card, and then the winner is a 50-50 split.
Yeah, that's it.
Right. So you do have to, really shine in order to get those to move on to the next round.
But that being said, it's also interesting because the people from those territories are usually very motivated to shine in such national events, and so they really push hard for their candidates by voting. And in the end, he could actually pass the first round because of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was one of the things that worked for the Tahitian group last year. I know that I can't remember if the name of the group was Maeva or if that was the song.
You got that. I think it was Maeva. Yeah, I think it was the group name.
Yes. Nonetheless, I think that they were not necessarily regarded as competitors last year, and in fact, a few people had kind of written them off. But they did well enough to make it to the final round on the televote alone, and I think they ended up with a pretty good result anyway because of the televote too. So, let's go to Yair saying France national selection this year is very high quality in comparison with other countries. Hello to Jose Santos. Hello guys, I think Fulenn will have a great stage if it goes to ESC. I'm seeing similar impact that Goe had last year, much like what we were saying before. Euroboy4 also says that when speaking about Cyprien's song, reminds him of Aleo Laole. And Fab is agreeing with Josephine, saying that the song is a bit middle of the road, and also agreeing with Yair that the overall quality of the songs being there with various genres to choose from. So, I mean, it's definitely good to see the positive reception of the overall selection. So with that said, let's move on to another song here. This one's by Elia, and as we were kind of mentioning before we started, it seems like this style of song is becoming more popular in national selections, even though it's been quite popular in pop music in general. So let's hear it.
Le cœur est vide, les poids qui pleins de rancœur. Suis-moi, suis-moi dans le
Yeah, definitely lots of bangers here. I definitely feeling the vibes. Dylan, let's start with you. How do you feel about Elia and Telephone?
I like it. I think this is the kind of song you could hear in the Euro Club, and that many people would enjoy. But again, it's something that reminds me a bit last year. Some of the songs we had last year, and so it's very interesting. It's very in phase with the current music scene in France. But I'm not sure it will actually appeal to the Eurofan, or the French one at least, that might not select the song to represent the country in the grand final. So I like the song, but I don't see it going to the end.
How do you feel about that, Josephine?
Re-listening the song, it makes me think a bit of On Fire, but the Rook, but less powerful, really less powerful. And that's what miss me. It's not enough catchy for me. It needs to be more energetic and less linear. And don't think I don't know if you understand what I say, but
flat maybe it needs more rhythm.
Yeah, more rhythm,
or like a punch
in the rhythm. It's too linear for me. It's too predictable in the music, in the instrumental. So for me, it's nothing really special. And I agree, it won't. I don't think it will pass with the televote.
The way that I feel about this is, since we were talking about this resurgence, or not resurgence, but this style, appearing in different selections, I compare it, like if we're talking about this year, I would compare it to Electrify by Andrew Lambro, which we saw in Australia Decides. I would compare it a little bit also to, Subwoofer, not directly, but it is in an EDM style with influences from house music. the closest comparison I would make is actually to our most recent Junior Eurovision winner, because even with the genre, but then also with the musical key and the vibe that it brings, and I think that if there's something that could work here, not kind of speaking aside from what you guys know about the impressions on the French public, but I think that there is something that could work here if they get the atmosphere down, because it is mostly about the vibe, right? It's not really musically complex. It's quite simple, and this style of music tends to be more simple. It favors simplicity over the really elaborate chord progressions and melodies and that kind of thing. So I don't know. The thing is, I would like to see this do well. I don't necessarily know if this would be a winner, but Dylan, as you alluded, this would be popular in the Euro Club, and I think that there's definitely Euro fan appeal there.
For sure.
So let's go to you guys. Hello to Rye Bailey. He says, I like most of the songs in this selection. And Euroboy 4, I think I love the song from the few seconds I've just heard. So the telephone, you mean. And Faves saying, nice disco ball to Euroboy. Yeah, it's always with the disco ball. You've had that for, I'm pretty sure, as long as I've seen you in our chats. Anything else to say about Elia?
Not really.
Okay. All right. So then let's move on to the next one. This is Elliott's bringing, I would say, a song that is quite characteristic from the others. In my opinion, it's a little bit bolder in its songwriting. It's the kind of songwriting that you don't really hear quite as much nowadays. So let's take a listen. Okay, Josephine, start us off this time. What do you think?
I think it's really not my type. It's not my type at all. It makes me think about Brendan Murray, and I don't like it, not at all.
I thought of Brendan Murray too. So just it's not your thing.
No. That's
okay.
Fine. That's fine. Sorry.
What about you, Dylan?
I have to disagree. Sorry, Josephine, but I like that song. It's kind of a mid-tempo ballad, and I like it because also you have a very powerful voice. I love his voice. I think that he was in the French edition of The Voice a few years ago, and I actually think that Jennifer was his coach, and Jennifer is supposed to be, will be, the president of the French national jury next Saturday. So it will be funny to see them facing each other again. But back to the song, I could imagine, based on the performance we've seen, I could imagine a very, very catchy, very rhythmic staging, and it could be more consistent to the song. That being said, of course, I don't believe it could actually win, but it could be a strong contender. And fun fact, Elliott was supposed to be part of Eurovision C'est vous, décidez last year already, but he turned down the opportunity because he just couldn't come with the right song. So he really had time to mature his project, and I think he's ready. He's also a big fan of the Eurovision, he's a child with his parents. So he knows the contest and the rules, including social rules of the contest. So this could be an advantage. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cool that he took some time to actually get the right song and to really be confident in his entry, and not to just go because people were enticing him to do so. And like, for me personally, like, this isn't my style of song either, but there's certain aspects that I respect. As I mentioned, I feel like the songwriting is a little bit atypical. We get that shift between keys, between the verses and the chorus. I mean, yes, we've seen that at Eurovision, as far as like, one of the biggest Eurovision songs, Euphoria, has that as well. But I don't know, it seems like something that you don't hear quite as often in the general scope of music nowadays, and it's almost like I don't know if it makes it feel a little bit more alternative, because it's definitely pop, but it just gives it a bit of a different spirit. And the fact that he's like performing the hell out of it, especially in that video clip where he's, you know, standing up and really going at the piano. I think that this could be a bit of a dark horse. I also don't necessarily seeing it win, but, you know, maybe it could land on the podium. Who knows?
Yeah,
Fab S saying, in La Tempête, you can definitely hear the Aloïse touch, like in Gian's Tears song. Is that one of the songwriters?
I think it was, yes, actually. Let me check my notes. I think.
Okay. Lucy loves Elliott's song. It's so beautiful. And La Tempête means the storm, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
The song is actually about how you face different obstacles through your life, and resilience facing adversity, I would say. Yeah, trying to translate that, I think.
Sarah saying Elliott rules. Your boy Force saying it's a nice pop song. Yeah, I think this could be one to watch. I also don't necessarily see this as a winner, but you know, with a great performance, it could be one that people definitely appreciate.
And I do expect a lot from his performance. In the recent interviews he gave to the French press, he really said that he wants an electric staging, whatever that means. But I suppose he wants something very catchy and very, very powerful. Okay.
Let's move on to our next one. This one is definitely changing the mood a little bit from the songs that we've heard so far. I'm very curious to hear what you guys have to say about this one. So there's a bit of a back and forth happening here. This is Hélène in Paris with Paris Mon Amour.
C'est une histoire d'amour entre nous, un éternel premier rendez-vous. C'est si bon de rentrer à présent au Paris mon amour. Je t'aime tant.
I tried to come up with the right word for this, and I kind of call it a Parisception, because there's a lot of Paris going on here. So Josephine, you started us last time. Dylan, start us off this time. What do you think?
It's hard to say. Like, I like her voice. Yes, the song is a very jazz song, but it's clearly not my favorite. Let's be honest. For a minute, I like the character and her story. Her personal story is amazing. She started to sing during the first lockdown in 2020. She started Instagram, and she started aged like 64, 65. So, you know, she had a full life before that. I like her energy. Really, it's amazing. And she promised to deliver a very colorful performance on the stage. But the song is just, to me, it's just full of cliche. You know, it's a song about how she loves Paris, yet she cheated Paris because she moved to other cities. She lived in Los Angeles, in New York, in London. And in the end, she comes back in Paris, and I don't know. I just don't really get the vibe. I like the character again, but the song is weird to me. Yeah,
it is a bit of an odd choice. I'm going to be honest, but as you alluded to the story, the fact that she is pretty new to at least, like, you know, singing singing publicly, and that it all kind of started during the lockdown and through social media, where she was given attention for her covers. But yeah, I mean, it's. I think that there is a way of telling this story in a way that people can resonate with. Ultimately, it is like kind of campy jazz, right? Like, she's going for being a little bit over the top and kind of playing, being a performer, right? So it is going to be interesting to see what they do with that live. Josephine, how do you feel about this one?
I think Dylan quite sounded good. I fully agree with him. I think it's really too cliche. It's too Parisian retro. I think for me, French people won't get into this song. That's kind of obvious for me. The performance is good. It's really good. As you say, she has energy. She has quite the mood, you know. But the song, just no. This is too much. This is so cliche. This is a big no. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, but no.
We'll see later that there is another song that kind of echoes with this one. and Madame actually, but I think that it's much better in its execution than this one. Also, fun fact: the first version of that song was had too much English lyrics and had to be rewritten for the national selection. So yeah, it's just funny because really it's like those people who live abroad for so many years and they come back, or just like American tourists who come to France and they love everything, including the most ridiculous thing, and they make a song out of it. So it's really much like Emily in Paris. So yeah, no, it probably won't appeal to the general audience.
Yeah, I can see that. It's interesting, like you making the comparison with like a tourist's view of a city, and you because when you travel, you see certain things at such a superficial level. I visited Barcelona a while back, and I was really in love with the city. And then when I moved there, you see it differently. I still love the city, but it's just not. It's not the rosy dozy place that you make it out to be. So I can see why maybe the public might be like, okay, that's nice that you like Paris, but. I am really curious about this really kind of over the top performance, because it could at least be a moment, right? And Euroboy 4, pretty much reading our minds, sounds like a cabaret song, and yeah, that aspect I actually quite like. What was that, Josephine?
Yeah, I just agree with the comment. That's a cabaret song for me.
Mm-hmm. And Fada saying we just need another iteration of the Eiffel Tower in the background, and the cliche will be complete.
Yeah, probably.
Well, I'm sure that we're going to see that in some regard. Nonetheless, let's move on to the next song. And actually, it is literally the next one in the list that you were talking about, Dylan, Madame, by Jean. Let's hear it. Okay, so since you did allude to it, Dylan, I'm going to go to you, because you said that you feel like this one is done, as far as, in some ways being cliche of certain images of Paris or of France, you feel like it's been executed better. So tell me about that.
Yeah, I find it better because simply, first, the voice. The voice is just amazing to me. What I really like also is that she actually wrote the song herself. So she's talking about a personal experience, a personal breakup that goes back to a French song, obviously about love. But it's interesting because she puts herself out, on the stage, and she is delivering a very nice performance. Again, it's probably a bit of a cliche, but this might actually be much more of a success for the French audience in general, just like Barbara was last year, because you can see the vibe, you can send the vibes of the 50s, the cabaret song, Edith Piaf, for instance. So this will probably be much better than, regarding the votes, than the previous song, Paris Mon Amour.
Right.
Yeah.
And we were, before we started today, as I listened to the song, there was something that was kind of catching my ear. It sounded like it was almost a sample of a song that I was familiar with. And maybe if somebody knows a more concrete example, because the way that I see this song is that it's kind of half I Put a Spell on You, that song with the dun 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 dun.
Yeah, I've been trying to look for that sound, that beats all day long for you, but
yeah,
all I can think of is Edith Piaf with Padam Padam,
Padam, yeah,
Milord as well, because it goes like na 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 na. So yeah, really Edith Piaf, 50s. I'm not sure that there is anything else of a sample, but again, I'm not an expert, so if you guys,
neither am I. But it was interesting because I tried to look into it. I looked into like compilations just to see if I could pick up on that melody, and it isn't necessarily that. It might just be the fact that it is so reminiscent of that style, but then also bringing in that, a little bit more of like a blues sound to it. That's the aspect that I like. So I'm definitely paying attention to this one. Josephine, how do you feel about it?
For me, Madame is more like Paris Mon Amour. It's the same. It's too cliche, too Paris for me. it's like the too touristy, you know. And, I don't know how to say. Like, first, I won't compare it to Barbara Pravi of Voila. It's really not the same thing for me. It's more like a really, really old-fashioned song, but not. I don't know how to say that, but I don't feel the modern side of the song. I think it's still too cliche for me. I'm sorry.
I mean, fair enough. Look, that's your opinion. And it is interesting because I have seen other people say this as both a compliment and a criticism, that they do see this as like a successor to Voila, or like, you know, trying to capture that feeling and achieve a similar success. And like, I can see why they're saying that. But at the same time, you know, I think that there are redeeming qualities. Like she's a great performer, and as I understand, she's influenced by musical theater, and it shows. You know, in the kind of theatrical way that she performs. It's tasteful too. It's different from Ellen's performance, which is, you know, meant to be more camp. This one is, you know, she's telling a story, as you were saying, Dylan, with the song. And so yeah, maybe the throwback style is not for everyone, but. Let's hear what you guys have to say. DJ Parody saying, Jean is an amazing singer. Your Boy 4, old-fashioned 30s French sound, but quite interesting. And Fabes, it's another song rooted in yesteryear French chanson, but the emotion and chills induced by Voila. Okay, so there you go. It's, you know, some favorable comparisons to Voila as well. Nicolas, hello to you. Salut la famille Eurovoxx, et je suis absolument d'accord avec vos opinions. Merci. I'm so glad. I really had to reach back into French class in order to.
I can see you're struggling here.
What was that?
I can see you're struggling here.
Well, I don't know. I felt like I got pretty close to it. So
yeah, definitely.
I appreciate that. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. So after Jean, we have Joanna. With a very different feeling song to at least the two that we've heard. Let's hear Navigateur. Okay, so this time we've got a little bit of electro pop. Josephine, what do you feel about this song?
It didn't match with me. First, I don't like her voice. I don't like her way of singing. And it's the same that, I don't know which song was, but it's too linear for me. It's not something punchy, something really, really strong, you know? Like Samantha Tina, for example. When you listen to her song, it's like you take... you have a big punch in your face, you know? You have something that I don't know. It's something really powerful, something really strong, and I don't have this feeling when I listen to the song of the French selection. That's something that is missing for me with the song of this year. It's too. It's not enough catchy, not enough power, not enough strong. So for me, Navigator would be a no.
Okay. I mean, not everyone can be Samantha Tina. I think we can all agree on that. Dylan, what do you think about this one?
The song is interesting. I like her voice again, but there is something missing. I can't say what exactly, but it just doesn't echoes in me. Well, yeah, it's an up-tempo song, so it's obviously something nice. It's a pop song, so it's like in the air. But really, I don't feel like anything specific. Even though she's actually putting herself out on the stage once again, she's trying to explain part of her life and dreams.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's weird. Besides, something that I tend to be quite to pay quite attention to it is that she is not a Eurovision fan. She didn't really watch the Eurovision when she was a kid, or even recently. So yeah, I'm like, I don't want to be mean, but if you don't have like a connection to the Eurovision, if you don't want to sing in that contest because it doesn't make any sense to you personally, why are you here? Again,
I agree.
I'm sorry, I don't meant to be mean, but yeah.
I mean, I think that maybe certain artists do underestimate what Eurovision requires, and I mean, there's kind of two sides to that, right? Because there's going into Eurovision with an idea of what it is that is maybe expired by now, which a lot of people do. But then there is also going into it without any reference for its potential and to make sure that the song that you're bringing has urgency, that you're not just going with any song, you're going with a special song, something that is not just another thing that you wrote or something that was offered to you by your regular people. It does have to be an opportunity that is seized upon. And I'm kind of with both of you guys in the sense that I don't see too much that's special about it when compared to the rest of the songs. I do like the fact that it is electro pop and it's got like a different sound to a lot of what we heard, even though there's a lot of electronic music with this. But it definitely does lack that I mean, to be even more cliche, that to lack that je ne sais quoi that some of the others don't have. You wanted to say something, Dylan?
On purpose, I didn't use this expression, but it's fine. No, but with respect to what you said regarding the electropop in the same register or more or less the same, I tend to prefer Elliott and La Tempête, for instance. It's something more than this one. Like, that's all.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. We have Oceane saying Navigateur est bien mal passé pour moi. So like, help me out with this. I'm not even going to try.
No, Navigateur is a song. Of course, you're good. So Oceane says that the song is good, but it's maybe outdated for her.
Okay. And yeah, I kind of get that too, because I was reminded of the kind of electro pop that we heard in like the late 2000s.
Yeah, I was about to say about a French singer that some might actually know, Mylène Farmer. Somehow I get some vibes from her songs, so it's very late 2000, yes.
Mm-hmm. Ahez saying that she's not famous. She's a 19-year-old newcomer. I assume this is about Joanna. And I'm not sure what this is referring to.
Probably Salvador Sobral wasn't a fan of the Eurovision either.
Right.
But yeah, fair enough. I mean, it could win definitely, but it's just a personal preference. Just like I like a representative of his country singing in his own language, it gives something extra. That's it. But it's, again, purely personal.
Yeah, and I think it's also, I think most of us would agree that being a fan is not necessarily a prerequisite. It's more so just understanding the task that's at hand. And with Salvador Sobral, it was a different time, I think. It was like he's a necessary winner for us to have, because people wouldn't have thought of a song like that ever winning Eurovision. But anyway, that's a discussion for another day. We have another 5 songs to get to. This one is by Julia, and it's called Chut. Okay, I understand that Julia is somewhat known. I believe she participated in The Voice or The Voice Kids a while back. Do you know about that, Dylan?
Yeah, she participated in The Voice, but when she was 17, I think it was The Voice season 4. So that might be a while back. Yeah, but she definitely participated in The Voice. Yeah.
Okay, so an artist that some people may recognize. Tell me, Dylan, what do you think about her song?
Yeah. It's interesting because it's a style that we haven't really heard yet in this national selection. It's pop, and it gives me maybe some rock vibes somehow. But it's clearly something that we are used to have in France. Probably maybe more in the 2010s, 10 rather than now. But yeah, overall, it's interesting. It's well performed. I think the performance could be interesting as well because she seems to be a good performer, and so she could deliver a strong performance. Now, will it appeal to the audience? I have really no idea.
Yeah, to me, the sound, it kind of reminded me of the 90s and the 2000s, the kind of like down-tempo pop that was on the radio a lot. And when kind of looking into the song, it's interesting because it's a theme that we've seen a lot recently at Eurovision, the kind of like, don't disrespect me. People would call it female empowerment, which it fits, but it's not that broad. It's in some ways more specific, but usually those songs tend to be really bombastic and poppy, like Je me casse from last year, or like Toy from 2018. So I like that it's a different take on that theme, like a different feel for that kind of theme in a song. How about you, Josephine? What do you think about this one?
I don't know. I'm really annoying, but that would be a no for me again. But Dylan, I don't agree with the wrong vibes. Really, I don't.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I don't know. It sounds for me like you said, Stuart. It sounds like 2000 song. It's not something we usually see in France, indeed, but still, it's not memorable for me. It needs to be more. Needs something more, but it's I think it won't pass over the final. I don't believe in that song.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call this one of the, like, I think that one thing that we could recognize is that the performance that we see from her, she's got presence, right? And with some of the singers who might have been lacking it, that might be a quality that really works for her. Let's see what you guys are saying. Fab S saying, Julia is going for the sensual independent woman song. And she said the song is a nod to the France Gall Gainsbourg era and to the 70s. That's very interesting. So it seems like we're all hearing all kinds of different eras. So maybe it's a little bit more timeless than we are giving it credit. Women empowerment is a bit of an overused term. I agree. It's kind of it's general, I would say. In this case, because she's that first line in the chorus is like, "Shh, I'm not a baby doll," right? And so it's in my opinion, it's more about respect and not over or passing over someone because of how they appear, because of their gender and that kind of thing. Let's move on to the next one. This one is Marius. Marius or Marius?
Marius.
Marius. Okay. The song is called Les chansons d'amour. Let's hear it.
Je n'aimais pas les chansons d'amour avant que s'enfuient tes promesses une fois partis les beaux jours.
So we haven't quite heard a ballad like this one out of the songs that we've heard so far. And I think that this one in some ways stands out on its own for that reason. Dylan, tell me, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, it stands out because it's a ballad, so it's quite different from the other. On the other hand, it's also a French chanson. So I think that there is somehow a trap because we have already heard at least two French songs already, like typical French chanson, and so it could split the vote among the jury, for instance, in the audience. But he clearly has an interesting performance. He has a good voice, really, an amazing one, even though. We can also stress that his song was co-written by Elliott, who was part of the Destination Eurovision. I think it was 2018.
2018, yeah.
Yeah, and Elliott also co-wrote Voilà from Barbara last year. So he knows he's a gold maker, basically, and I think that he could help Marius to stand out for the performance. He probably has some idea about the staging. I read somewhere in the interviews that Marius wants to deliver a performance with a bit more of intensity to counterbalance the song.
Mm-hmm.
It could be interesting, but I'm really curious to see how it turns out, actually. I'm very, very, very curious. But I like the song.
Yeah, and especially if he's going for intensity, because one thing that I noticed about this song is that it's subdued in a lot of ways, and I like the fact that it's not a big belting ballad, because we tend to get those a lot, especially at Eurovision, right? And then this one's more about the subtleties. So maybe with introducing some intensity, it will incorporate some belting, but obviously, you still need to keep that mood, restrained in some way, so that it's not, giving it a completely different feel. Josephine, how do you feel about this song?
I won't qualify it as a chanson française. I just qualify it as a ballad, and it really makes me think about Jean Tears. I think it's a really, really similar style. It's. I have the feeling that it will be great. It will be. It will get a lot of points in the final. It will go to the final. I have the thing about it. Personally, I'm not a big fan. But I think the staging will be quite good. I think I'm impressed by the staging.
And one thing that I noticed about this song, or at least a feeling that I got, is that I kind of describe it as like an ending scene song from a film, like kind of like all the exciting stuff has happened, and maybe you're reflecting on the moments of high emotion, and this kind of brings you back down to the ground as everything gets tied up again. So maybe there's a way of incorporating that cinematically into the performance. Yeah. What are you guys saying about this? Fab S saying Marius is a trained dancer. He might include those skills in the staging at some point. Oh, very interesting. So I mean, we wouldn't expect him most likely to be like sat down at a piano then, probably. What else? Euroboy4 also says reminds him of Jean's Tears. That didn't actually register for me, because I feel like with Jean's Tears, what I've noticed, I mean, he's only put out so much music, but there's a very specific way that he addresses melodies and the way that he sings, and I wouldn't have thought of that. I wouldn't have made that comparison here. But Dylan, do you see that comparison?
Yeah, I could see some similarities, actually. The first time I heard the song, really, I thought that it was something that was produced or co-produced by John Tears, and also the way how he is trying to deliver a performance. When he said that he wants to give more intensity in the song, it immediately rings a bell to me, because I remember John tried to counterbalance the ballad side of his song with his staging and the Eurovision. Now I can totally understand your point of view as well. I mean, yeah, it's very subjective. So.
Yeah, and I mean, comparisons get thrown around all the time too. But it's also interesting because Jean's Tears, I believe, is going to be one of the jurors. So maybe if he gives the song a lot of points, maybe he'll see it himself, or maybe it'll be for other reasons that he gives it lots of points. I'm so sorry, I don't know how to say your name. I'm going to say Tjarkhill. I would say he stands out a bit in a positive way, but this is not the best choice. Still a pretty song, but this is not the winner. His role is point stealer, thus quite an important role in the selection. I don't know if I've ever thought of an entry as being a point stealer.
It's an interesting statement, yeah.
All right. So we've got 3 more songs to go, and this is one of the songs that you had alluded to earlier, Dylan. This is Pauline. And her song is called Nuit Pauline.
Une idole qu'on assassine, coule des larmes de crocodile, être une héroïne, la nuit Pauline.
I have to say, I'm not sure if I've ever seen a 80s synth pop style song that features a harp, or at least features a harp in like a major way, where it's part of the top line. So since this was one that you mentioned, Dylan, start us off again. What do you think of this one?
Well, I agree with you. I haven't seen that before, but I like the 80s vibe. It's very interesting. I love also the fact that she's using this electronic harp. It's very unusual, and it gives a little je ne sais quoi to the performance. Now she comes from a family of musicians. She started to play the harp when she was 4 years old, so she really knows her stuff, and she's clearly following the steps of other French female artists of her generation, like Clara Luciani, for instance. It's definitely the same kind of music and the same performances she delivers. It's as I said, it gives a lot of 80s vibes, but still it's quite modern. I don't know, maybe it's about the performance or the voice, but I don't feel that it's vintage, you know, like some performances could have been last year in the Eurovision that were clearly from the 80s vibes. So it's an interesting choice, and I think that we might actually be surprised by her result. And she, whatever is her result, she clearly has a career in front of her in France.
And it's interesting, this whole discussion about the modernity of an 80s sound, because we've been talking about this for years now, how the 80s revival has been such a mainstay of music, not just pop music but also indie music, and this to me has a little bit more of like an indie sound to it, in the sense that there isn't like a really big moments. I kind of feel like, as Josephine, as you have said about some of the songs that we've talked about before, I do feel like it is a little bit flat in some ways, but I'm not put off by the song. I find the way that she sings to be very fascinating, and also the harp, just the presence of the harp in her playing it, makes it stand out for a number of ways. But Josephine, how do you feel about this one?
This song is my third, actually. I kind of like it. I like Dylan. I like the 80s vibes, and the fact that she's using a harp in her song. I think it's clearly original. It could be good on stage, I think, and I don't know what else to say, but it missed again. It missed something for me. I'm sorry. I'm a big fan of 80s songs. But when I'm listening to songs like You Make Me Feel, Dead or Alive, You Spin Me Around, I'm so excited, you know, this kind of song of the 80s. There's that thing a little bit catchy, a little bit crazy, you know, that miss in this song. I think it's a good song for atmosphere, for a good ambient song. That's what I say. But not dance song. That's what it means for me.
What was that?
No, it's just when she said ambient song, I don't know why, but I immediately picture myself like in a Home Deco shop, you know, like something, and listening to this kind of song. So I don't know why.
I get the description of it having an ambient feel, and I mean, like, there's obviously music that's a lot more purely ambient, but with this one, it reminds me of a song that we saw in the Croatian selection, Vole me do neba, which was it also had a bit of an 80s sound to it. This one's quite a bit faster, but I think that both achieve kind of a visual that we associate, like a very clear visual that we associate with the sound. So yeah, I'm really curious to see how this is going to go, and maybe people will respond to that. Let me see if I can keep up. Fabas saying, you've clearly kept the best ones and top 3 in the odds for last. Well, let's see. There are another 2, and we did talk about one that appears to be a very big favorite off the top. Sarah Halloran likes the instruments. I'm not really sure which song this is. Do you guys recognize this?
Ouragan from Stéphanie de Monaco. Yeah.
Okay. Tell me about that. Was that Eurovision or no?
No, I don't think it was Eurovision. It was from Stéphanie de Monaco, so Princess of Monaco, when she had a singer career. It's because it's a powerful. She had a powerful voice, but nowadays, usually when you refer to this song and the singer, it's more like in a jokey way.
Okay.
Of it. So, yeah.
Tarkil saying, I love this song. She brings a nice vibe, and also in their playlist. So yeah, it seems like people are also responding to this one as well. Okay, so last 2. This one is by Sam, and it's called Il est où? Il est où?
Il est où?
Il où?
Il est où?
Il est où? Okay.
Il est où ce sourire que tu avais enfant? Il est où? Sans doute englouti par le temps.
I'm always tripped up by certain pronunciations, and I like to think of letters as suggestions sometimes. But anyway, he's made it very clear there now that I've heard the song. Josephine, what do you think about this one?
I kind of like it. It's like my second, I think. It makes me think about voilà. When I listen to Il est où, I cannot. I think it's the same spirit when he's making a big gesture like Il est où. You know this feeling. It's this mood. He's in the same mood as voilà, and even in the gesture, you know, is. It's like he wants to share his personal thing, his personal experience. He wants to tell us something, to make us understand something. I like it. I like it, and I think it will pass in the final because it seems it's like one of the favorites. Yes, that's all I have to say. Yeah, for me, it could be a really good choice for France.
When you mentioned Voila, I have to say that the thing that made me draw a pretty direct comparison with that was the tempo change at the end. The gestures that now that you've mentioned it as well, the way that he was kind of gesturing with his hands, definitely reminiscent of what Barbara did last year. Of course, like the overall song, I would say is quite different, but that tempo change, that was the one thing that made me think like, oh yeah, this is very much like what we saw last year. And it is a little bit of a detracting factor for me, but overall, I think that the song is at least pleasant. Dylan, how do you feel about that comparison?
I actually didn't compared both songs. To me, it wasn't obvious at all. I can see something related to the movements of his hands and the gesture, yes, but to me that's mostly it. It's at first when I listened to the song, it was immediately my favorite, and I changed a bit, but still it was a very interesting moment for me because it reminds me of some songs we had back in middle of the 2000s, like and now I'm so sorry for people who are not very familiar with the French music, but I will name one artist, Christophe Maé. It's maybe Josephine, you remember him, but it's something that has the same kind of vibe, same tempo. It's interesting, but if I had to make a comparison with another French entry, I would compare it to Amir. I get the same energy, I get the same vibes. It's also a very festive song. He basically calls us to smile again and asks us to smile again and to keep smiling, to move forward in life. So the message is interesting. And regarding the staging, though, I'm not very sure of what he can deliver. I'm really curious, yes, about that. And also as Amir, in 2016, he's also a dentist, surgeon.
Yeah, I was about to say that he's not just a singer, as they put it on the Eurovision.tv website. He's a dental surgeon by day and a singer performer by night. So I mean, yeah, that is going to be interesting to see what he brings. Also, not the first person that, if he were to, let's say, go to Eurovision, wouldn't be the first person involved with dental hygiene. Certain San Marinese person comes to mind. But nonetheless, one thing that I didn't mention as well is that I quite like the sound of his voice. To me, I think he has my favorite voice out of all the ones that we've heard. We have lots of good voices here, but there is a certain quality. And in that sense, I definitely make that comparison to Amir. There's like a slight raspiness to it that is comparable in my view. Océane saying Sam in their top three. Fab S saying catchy with a memorable sing-along chorus, although the verse is less striking. Any thoughts on that, Josephine?
About what?
Referring to the chorus being a bit catchier than the verses. Do you feel the same way, or do you feel like it doesn't make a difference to you?
I will say that again, it makes me think about Voilà. It's clearly like for me, the structure of Il est où is really similar to Voilà in the rhythm, in the spirit, in the style a little bit. Maybe the difference is that Il est où is more pop music than chansons françaises. But yeah, I think it's quite catchy, like like a valse, you know.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And Dylan, you're, because I know that you don't see quite as similar, but as far as like the verses and chorus, what do you have to say about that?
The chorus sounds a bit more catchier, but this is something that I have the same feeling about most of the songs in general, at least the French songs. So I don't know if it's just me or if it's more like a general description of French song, but in general, it's easier to remember the chorus.
And I mean, ultimately, you need a catchy chorus. Verses don't necessarily have to be catchy, but they should at least, they shouldn't be forgettable. They should still add to the song. What was that?
Something that stays around in your head. That's what you need for a song. And I think the chorus is probably one of the best part of the song. Well, that's.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so now on to our last one. Has to be, as mentioned already, one of the big favorites. I don't know if you say SOE or SOA or SOA, but their song is called Seul.
T'es pas seul, t'es pas seul. Il distance du monde. T'inquiète pas, la terre est ronde. Tu arriveras à trouver ta place. Et même le moyen de laisser ta trace.
Okay, so this is really the only duo that we have in the selection, and a brother and sister duo from Madagascar. Dylan, tell me, what do you think about this song?
Well, we were just talking about the chorus and how the chorus can be very powerful and attractive to a song. Well, this is definitely what I meant. The lyrics stays around, at least when you can sing it, and it's very nice because the voice are very strong as well. And there is like a change of rhythm. So I really like the fact that it's also pop, but it also have like some rap vibes. In the end, the message they are trying to pass on is very interesting. It's a very powerful message about loneliness. So it's a topic that we haven't heard yet in this selection. And the fact that you're never alone, basically, and you can always rely on other people, and if you feel bad, you should just turn to other people. So it's interesting, and it carries a message of hope, really, for people, and I like that. Yeah, it's definitely my favorite song in this selection. It's also the one that I can see winning, and yeah, that's all I can say about it.
Yeah, and it seems to be the favorite for a lot of people as well. As we have the question right here from Euroboy 4: is this the big favorite to win? It depends on what poll you look at. I see this topping the polls, at least that I've seen. Not alone up there. There are other songs that are getting a lot of attention as well, but it definitely seems to be one with impact. And I think that it alludes to, or it is because of what you said, Dylan. The fact that this is a chorus with impact, very one that's very easy to remember. Josephine, how do you feel about this one?
I fully agree with Dylan, especially with the chorus. For me, it's a good song. It can do well in ESC. I don't see it as a winner song, but I like the alchemy between both. I think they are energetic and charismatic on stage, and that's something really important. I like the rap part. It's quite catchy. It's quite good. The message also, it's a subject we don't see really often in Eurovision. So I think it could be a really good choice for Eurovision, for the lyrics, for the staging maybe, and for the song. It's not. I don't see it as a winner song, but I think it could do well, definitely.
I would say, like, I can think of a few examples of songs that at least touch on this theme, but not in this way. I think, the fact that they are a brother and sister duo, the way that they tell the story of the song is very unique as well. There is something that's also very satisfying about the words and also their hand motions as well. I'm thinking specifically of when they say "you will find your place" to plus, and they do the little beep. They're a joy to watch. They've got great chemistry between the two of them and a presence as well. To me, this is like the right way to do a duet. And I could definitely see potential. I also agree in the sense that if this were to go to Eurovision, I wouldn't see it as necessarily a winning song, but one with potential to go far. And I think that opinion is shared by a lot of people. So let's talk to some of those people. Ahez saying, "Seul is immediately impactful from the very first listen, which is a major asset in a song competition. Here's the verse. Here is the verse engaging and the chorus bringing a powerful lift." And yes, this is definitely an uplifting song, which is needed, I think, especially right now. Ocean saying, "So my winner, singing, rapping, the song is just awesome." Damien saying, "It's my favorite, but I see Fulenn winning the televote." Interesting. Do you guys think that's possible?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that happening because the people from Britain would massively support the song, just like the people from overseas territory usually support massively their representative. So yeah, and Fulenn is very different. It brings something that we are not used to have generally in the French musical scene. And it might appeal to some other songs from the 90s that were actually very, very popular in France. And here again, I'm sorry, but I'm referring to some songs that many haven't heard about, like La Tribu de Dana, for instance. When it's very Celtic and it's very, very pleasant to the ear, actually.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we are coming to the end, so we will be talking about winners, but I think we're definitely going to be focusing on those two songs. Just a few more comments about Seul. Charkale saying, "Energy, 2010s vibes, smiles, and a nice message. My favorite. They can make the left sides of the table at Eurovision for sure. I would say they can score a bit both of jury and televoting." I would say so. I think that there's definitely enough technique to be respected there from the jury and entertainment value from the televote. Obviously, those two things aren't exclusive to the jury and televote, but I see a nice balance. So I don't think that this would be an entry that would be lopsided, like with some where they tend to be very heavily supported either by the televote or the jury. So that's always a good sign, I would say. Thank you so much, Mark. I appreciate that. More to come. So now that we've reached the end, I mean, we have already talked about one of the favorites that we see winning. But if you had to choose one song, what do you think would be the song that would go the furthest for France at Eurovision? And I'll start with you, Josephine.
I say Fulenn, without any doubt.
Okay. All right. And Dylan, what do you say?
I would say Seul.
Okay. Now, whose team am I going to take? The truth is, I think
it's fine. So you don't have to choose.
Well, I mean, the truth is, I think that both of those songs have about the same amount of potential. So if I were to have like a tie-breaking quality, I would go with Fulenn because of the unique sound to it. But I would be very pleased with either of those winning. And then, since that's kind of like an obvious answer for us, between the three of us, all choose a kind of wild card winner. What would be a song that you don't expect to win, but you'd be very happy to see? And so let's go back to you, Josephine. Which song would that be?
I don't know. I think it would be between Sam and Pauline, I think.
And Pauline, okay. How about you, Dylan?
It would be between Sam and Joanna.
Okay.
So Madame Elia.
Madame, right. I'm just consulting the list here. For me, it would be Marius. Because we've mentioned a lot of strengths in that song as well. I mean, not everybody is totally on board, but I see a very unique quality in there that could be well recognized at Eurovision. Again, we'll see how well it does at the actual contest. But those of you watching, let us know who your choices are for winners, whether it's your favorite or whether it's the song that you see winning. Tarkil is saying Fulenn, but with changes. What changes do you think are needed? What's that?
I mean, we can't have a revamp of the song. The final is too close to the deadline for submission, so they won't have any time to revamp the song.
I'm not sure if a revamp is needed to be submitted by that date. I think it's more so that they need to have the song. Like, it's one thing if you come in with a completely different song, because that's obviously not okay. But I've heard that in previous years there's been times where the revamp is still being worked on and up until like very close to the actual events. I guess the big difference is for the technical crew to be able to rehearse properly, it can't be totally different, right? Because you still have to have your proposal by this point, and they need to be able to, actually practice it with the stand-ins and with all the technical setup in order for that to work. Euroboy4 saying very high quality in the French final selection this year. Well done, France. And wishes bonne chance pour la France. Fab S saying Sul for the win. Hopefully, Fulenn is a serious contender depending on how the live actually goes. And their wild card is definitely Pauline. Yeah, I also like Pauline as a wild card too. I like the spirit that she brings. If you want to get your choices in for winners, do it now, because we do have to sign off. We have talked about all the songs by now. Before we go, let's just say, because we know that France is, unlike most other countries, France does not have to compete for their spot in the final. What do you, kind of regardless of song, Dylan, what would it be a target for you to set for France this year? What do you think is the highest placement that France could get?
I think the target would be top 10. Because last year Barbara really delivered something that we're not used to, and I think it's very challenging for the France Télévisions and the French delegation to capitalize on that. The trap would be to send another entry that is very similar to Barbara and voila, assuming that it worked one year, so it could work every time. So I think that's why also this selection is very diverse, because they are trying to find the right song for the contest. So top 10 would be a good performance, really, after last year, yeah.
Definitely, and we have also acknowledged that Barbara is a tough act to follow. So it would be difficult to try and do that again. Obviously, I'm sure that France would be very pleased with a win. Maybe I don't know. Maybe by the time we actually see the rehearsals, something will be making an even bigger impact than it is right now. But for you, Josephine, what would be the target that you would set for France this year in the final?
I would say maybe top 12 or 12, not 12, top 12 or top 15, maybe. Concerning the other countries, I think the level is lower than the previous year. I've been really, really disappointed by many choices this year. I don't see any winning song, any of the French songs winning the contest this year. But concerning the others proposition of the other country, I don't know. Maybe it could score really well, but I don't know. For me, it's quite uncertain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm kind of sort of on the same page as both of you. I could see them getting onto the left-hand side of the scoreboard, and I do think that top 10 is definitely a possibility. I'm kind of thinking like 8, 9, maybe 7. That would be. Yeah, exactly. What's that?
I would sign for it right now. I would sign for that result immediately.
It's the kind of result that you could lay a bet on if you're the kind of person that bets, if you have the kind of confidence that we do. So a few more comments before we go. Fab is saying, too bad Sul will have to have its first 20 seconds cut. The original instrumental intro is very powerful. You should go and check out the music video. Will do, because I didn't actually know. I just looked at the official Eurovision France performances, so I will check that out. And Tiark saying France's target should be top 10, but if we see competition, I will say top 12. And that's another thing to consider as well. We only have about half the songs, so things could really change. And I mean, could change for the better, could change for the worse, depending on how you feel. and also showing some agreement with Josephine. And for DJ Parody, Julia for the win. Thank you all for this discussion. Obviously, a selection that we're all very excited about. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Eurovoxx because we're covering all the national selections. We are actually quite close to the end because by next Saturday, we will have had all of our national selection songs, and then even by then, we'll have some of the internally selected songs. Tomorrow, we're expecting the song by Estine from Netherlands, and that's going to be, I think that a lot of people are quite excited about that. And then a few more to come this week from Montenegro, and I believe we're also getting the revamp for Secret by Ranella Hayati. So obviously there's lots more to come, and if you subscribe to Eurovoxx, you can join us in the discussion. Tell us which ones your favorites are, who you're most excited about for Eurovision this year, and for all the other national selections. And don't forget to follow us on our socials, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and our website is eurovoxx.tv. We'll leave it there. Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup. We'll see you on the next video. Thank you, Dylan. Thank you, Josephine. And until next time, take care.
Salut!